here we go. This just sounds like her describing herself. Let's rewind it just a couple more. Let's rewind a couple more seconds. But this literally just sounds like Snarky Jay just defining yourself.
A number of different reasons. I have a message I need to say. I have an agenda I need to drive. I need people to know more about me. And when you think about the reasons why we make content to educate,
what most of you guys are here for, some chud coverage. So let's go ahead and bring up some Snarky Jay here. Oh, god damn it. You know, last time I covered her, it's like, I don't think she's full-fledged chud. I mean, she did a Sinners review, so that's something. But, like, she definitely, like, is comfortable doing chud stuff. It's weird. Like, there's some videos where you can click on, it's like, okay, this is a bit more nuanced take. But then there's plenty where she just goes full-fledged chud. And now the fucking self-inserts are killing your favorite character. She released this 3 minutes ago. That's obviously a fucking chud video. Like, I don't like how she's talked about how Thunderbolts is flopping hard, because it's not even flopping hard. But, like, at least she's saying it's good. You know, she's like, wait, it's actually good. Anyways, I guess kind of hey, she did a positive video on Final Fantasy VII Remake, so that's something. So yeah, let's go ahead. I guess we'll I don't know if we'll watch this whole thing, but let's go ahead. Self-inserts are killing your favorite characters. God, that seems like pure chud bait right there. So let's go ahead.
we're always talking about the...
You know, it will take a while to play through this if I do it at speed. I put the end of that Superman trailer on. All right, let's go ahead. And, you know, she always does things where she walks towards the camera, showing off her body, because she's really going for that incel fan base, obviously.
We're always talking about the ruining of franchises and Hollywood in general, but one of the biggest scourges plaguing Hollywood is, of course, the villain known as the self-insert.
You know, I do feel like she's a bit behind on this narrative. Like, this whole fucking self-insert Mary Sue thing feels like an argument from like 5 years ago at this point. Like, dude, come on.
Hey y'all, Snarky Jay cosplay here. Every once in a while, when we talk about the thing
that was very nice of her, Lucifer. Be like, oh, he just finished comic books, so let's go ahead and post a video immediately.
Ruining our favorite franchises, and we take to the internet to about characters that we don't like. One of the phrases that we throw around quite frequently and that we happen to see more and more often in Hollywood is the self-insert. Now you might be sitting there wondering, what exactly is a self-insert? Because I hear it all the time and I'm too afraid to ask. Well, wonder no more. A self-insert is essentially when a writer projects their politics, their personality, their personal viewpoint, their sexuality, their personal struggles, or any number of things directly onto a character.
Whoa. So essentially, a writer makes a character that reflects any element of themselves as a self-insert? Are you fucking serious? So is every straight guy who writes who makes a character about a straight character, like Stan Lee, white cisgendered straight guy, made Spider-Man, white cisgendered white straight guy. Is that a self-insert? Using the definition she just gave, he is. That's why that definition is fucking useless. Holy crap. This is that is an infuriating fucking definition. That's like almost every single character, since, fun fact, writers write what they know. They're going to be best at writing what they know. So, this idea that, like, just writing what you know makes self-insert characters is like, no. And here's the thing. As we get into this, I have a feeling when she's talking about self-insert characters, there's going to be a specific gender all these characters will share. But let's dive in. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I doubt it, though.
So the character becomes less of a character in and of themselves within the piece of content, and instead turns into an almost too direct representation of the writer themselves. Now, admittedly, not every writer insert is bad. There are a lot of writer inserts that have made for interesting characters. As it is, we like to write and talk about our own experiences, so if we can write what we know and write a better character out of it, it doesn't mean that every self-insert is bad.
Doesn't mean so she's saying that not all self-inserts are bad, but she's pretty much saying that almost every single character created ever is a self-insert to some degree. God, it seems like a useless fucking definition. Holy shit.
Fortunately, it does mean that a large percentage of self-inserts are bad because they're done lazily, egotistically, and way too often at the expense of the greater story being told. And I mean, audiences aren't stupid, right? 90% of the time where we're listening to a self-insert on behalf of a writer, we pretty much are savvy enough to realize, yeah, this is definitely a self-insert and not necessarily a character that should be here. Like I said, not every self-insert is bad, but most self-inserts, at least in the modern era, are done for a number of different reasons. I have a message I need to say, I have an agenda I need to drive, I need people to know more about me. And when you think about the reasons why we
what just occurred to me, because it does strike me she's putting on a performance. So this performance she's putting on, this character, Snarky Jay, that she plays, is this a self-insert? Because it, this little thing she says almost sounds like she could be describing herself here.
Character that should be here. Like I said, not every self-insert is bad, but most self-inserts, at least in the modern era, are done for a number of different reasons. I have a message.
Here we go. This just sounds like her describing herself. Let's rewind it just a couple more. Let's rewind a couple more seconds. But this literally just sounds like Snarky Jay just defining herself.
A number of different reasons. I have a message I need to say. I have an agenda I need to drive. I need people to know more about me. And when you think about the reasons why we make content to educate, to entertain, or
just completely not self-aware at all.
or to inform, I have something I need to get off my chest does not necessarily fit in with any of those, and therefore doesn't justify a good piece of content. And it might not seem like self-inserts are as big a problem as they are, but they're actually pretty prevalent across a number of different media going on right now. And I've been thinking about this for so long that I really have.
Really? You've been thinking about something that Chud's made fucking billions of videos about like 5 years ago? Okay.
To buckle down and make this video because, to be honest, as somebody who has written a lot of self-insert fan fiction, yes, I was one of those people on Tumblr. Why do you think I'm like this now? I eventually grew out of it, and realized that if I was going to write a piece of content, a story, or what have you, it didn't necessarily have to represent me entirely. Unfortunately, a lot of people managed to get to Hollywood and did not figure that out. In the first case, we're going to talk.
Okay, get to some examples here. You're making your case. You're not really making your case. You're setting us up. Let's see these self-inserts that you have an issue with.
Talk about is everybody in the writer's room over at my beloved Disney Plus show that I miss every day. I think you guys know which one I'm talking about. She-Hulk. The writers of this.
Shocking! It's a woman. I never would have thought she would pick a woman. God, they always complain about She-Hulk, and let's see what examples she gives. But yeah, I don't think She-Hulk is a self-insert character at all. She is fairly comic accurate, at least if you ask Dan Slott, and I would take his word considering how much She-Hulk he's written. But yeah, I mean, it's the amount of hate they have towards She-Hulk is shocking. Because let's be real, was She-Hulk a perfect show? No. It had some solid episodes. It had some meh episodes. But, it's like acting like it's the worst thing ever and that we need to talk about like every day is just ridiculous. I mean, might as well still be talking about Ghostbusters 2016 or Captain Marvel. Oh, wait, they still do talk about those. It's kind of sad.
Show openly admitted that Jennifer Walters, otherwise known as She-Hulk, was pretty much based entirely on themselves. And while that
Really? The one that was largely considered comic accurate is based on themselves. Sure.
Would have worked had these people had some fun
Do you have a exact, like, do you have clips that you can showing this? Where's your evidence? So far you've just said stuff. Where's evidence?
interesting messages like what She-Hulk once had within her own comic series, it might have worked, but being that they were a bunch of 30-somethings looking to complain about their love lives, it made for a show almost as frustrating as my actual love life. See, the problem with a character like She-Hulk is, yeah, you can have a character that is a frustrated 30-something-year-old woman with a challenging love life, and if all of that was done well, then it would have been a good show. She-Hulk is an admittedly fun character, and I don't think that their original idea was that far off of what she was in the comics. Unfortunately, they decided to insert too much of themselves, and what happened with that is that everybody in that writer's room walked in with a chip on their shoulder. A story about some man who wasn't fun at dinner,
I mean, that's a pretty famous moment from the She-Hulk comics as well, and probably a pretty funny, like, let's face it, that was a funny moment in the show as well.
Dating app that they loathe, some bitchy best friend whose wedding they went to and regretted it. It was a number of different self-insert stories, and so what happens?
Do you have clips? Are you going to prove any of this? Like, so far you've just brought up storylines that would fit in a She-Hulk fucking comic. Like, and yeah, those are the type of storylines you would do for, like, a superhero who has a superhero woman in her mid-30s who has a troubled dating life. Those are stories you would do. You need to give us specific examples of this. You have done nothing so far. Let's see.
Is that the normally fun-loving, zesty, almost Deadpool-like Jennifer Walters ends up coming across as shallow, petty, smug, and bitter, all of which are personality traits that I wouldn't and don't even like in male characters, which is
Well, it's almost like she had a character arc she went throughout the season. Did you watch it? Did you understand what you were watching? Was it too complex for you? Like, what the fuck, man?
probably why I didn't like it in a female character. It wasn't internalized
Well, Bob of the Old Ways, I don't know if you saw the very beginning of this, but she defined self-insert as pretty much any character that has any attribute similar to the person who writes it. And that's pretty much what a self-insert by her definition is. Which is so broad that it pretty much qualifies every single character in the world.
misogyny, as some of the shills claimed it to be. It was a poorly written show based entirely on self-insert fanfiction. I mean, they literally decided to serve up a superhero courtroom drama where the story arcs revolved entirely around her love life woes, and they were condescending as shit to every.
Gee. It's almost like it's a show that wasn't meant to be treated 100% seriously. It's almost like it was a comedy show. Weird, right?
Male character in the show, so it wasn't even close to super.
Wait, what'd she say about male characters there? I always think it's interesting what they say about the male characters in She-Hulk.
Around her love life woes, and they were condescending as shit to every male character in the show.
They were condescending as shit to every male character in the show. I mean, I guess you could say she had a moment being condescending to Bruce Banner, but, like, he was proven right. I think Daredevil was pretty much proven right as well, and plus he got laid. Good for him, by the way. Really? Like, like, so far, these are very broad things she's saying, and she has yet to actually make a case for why She-Hulk is a self-insert at all. She's just making broad claims, and it's like, okay, you haven't proven anything.
So it wasn't even close to superhero storytelling. It was just people that needed to come.
It was a comedy. Holy shit. Like, seriously, if you want to see a serious superhero courtroom drama show, fucking Daredevil exists. You can just watch that. She-Hulk is another, like, lawyer superhero, but it's meant to be a comedy show. I don't think the series is perfect, but holy shit, like, this is gross misrepresentation of it.
complain. And to me, it was just puzzling, because if they wanted to vent about their love life so badly, I understand, but I don't think She-Hulk was the place to do it. Moving on to
So, wait, is that her argument, that the writers wanted to vent about their love life in the show? Because, no, that's, like, first of all, this show, the primary arc of the show was Jennifer learned, like, she thought she had control of her powers, but she kind of doesn't. It's different than Hulk, and she has to learn to navigate him different from Hulk, and he's trying to give her advice, and the advice isn't 100% applicable to her, but she should still be listening to it. There's much more nuance to it, and the dating stuff was just kind of like a subplot, man. That wasn't even a thing. And yeah, our writers, like, including, like, elements of their own dating life in that? I'm sure, because you're right, what you fucking know. There's nothing wrong with that, but this argument is garbage, and we're still talking about She-Hulk. Like, there's a brand new video. She-Hulk came out, what, like 2-3 years ago? We're still talking about. Still pushing the same old fucking tired narratives.
another equally beloved self-insert. Let's move on to Mindy Kaling's Velma.
I haven't seen Velma. Although, again, woman character. You know, I don't think I'll go over the Velma thing, because there's not that much. I don't have any counter argument to Velma, really, but because I haven't seen it. But hey, another woman character, not shocking at all. Is the next one Cars? Does she even go over Velma that long? Because it seems like pretty soon we go to a picture of Kathleen Kennedy. I feel like she spent most of the time with this on fucking She-Hulk. Yeah, woman character self-insert. Shocking. What a twist. Okay, let's I guess rewind this a bit, because it seems like she doesn't spend too much on here and goes to something from Kathleen Kennedy.
You're not serving the content, and that's why so much of this that we have to sit through today sucks. Speaking of things that have dropped in quality, it's not exactly confirmed, but I have an inkling that one of the reasons why we keep getting Rey No Name Palpatine Skywalker shoved down our throats when it comes to Star Wars is because she is a self-insert for our beloved Kathleen Kennedy. When we consider,
you will have to show me the writing credit that Kathleen Kennedy has on those Star Wars movies. Seriously. Are you serious right now? Like, Jesus.
Consider the idea of a brunette girl boss pushing her way through a challenging narrative, besting an...
Oh, well, I've seen them attempt to go after the Harley Quinn series, which I still need to catch up on, but overall I thought, what I've seen I really enjoy. But the reason why they don't really go after the Harley Quinn series is pretty much, it doesn't get enough clicks.
Overshadowing every single man she encounters, even when they arguably should be better at what they do than she is. I mean, how quickly...
You're talking about how she quickly learns to become better than men, showing the lightsaber fight at the end of The Force Awakens, which makes me wonder, did you actually fucking watch it? That lightsaber fight, she was clearly outclassed, but Kylo Ren was injured. He wasn't operating at 100%. Plus, he didn't want to kill her. She was just kind of swinging wildly at him, and he was going defensive. Like, did you actually watch that? Did you understand it? He was clearly the superior fighter. He was just injured and didn't want to kill her. And that gave her an advantage to kind of go wild at him. Like, you just played clips from it. So obviously you've seen it. So, like, this is just chud 101. Just make up narratives and say this is what it's about without actually giving any firm evidence and cutting out the evidence that counts her.
Doesn't she kick Kylo Ren's ass? And the guy had been training in this in years. She just picked up a lightsaber.
I already debunked that, okay? Like, fuck.
Yesterday. God, the sequel trilogy is terrible. It could be a metaphor for how Kathleen Kennedy pushed her way past being a personal assistant to eventually getting producer credits on a lot of different and well-rated movies, and basically being at the helm of everything that has a Star Wars label on it. And
yes, I am sure Kathleen Kennedy bullied her way and forced George Lucas to give her Lucasfilm. I am sure that's how that happened. For fuck's sake, do you have any fucking evidence of this? Like, this whole narrative that, like, a woman can't just honestly earn her way to the top, that she has to bully her way to the top, is pretty fucking sexist. And I feel weird pointing out that that an argument is sexist to a woman, but fucking these dipshits exist. I swear to fucking God.
Problem with a self-insert like Rey, besides everything about Rey, is that when the
I'm not even sure how Rey is like a self-insert. When did you're talking about how she injects, like, she doesn't really inject politics into it. She's not a brat. She's like the best thing you can come up with for her being a self-insert, that she's a cisgender white woman like Kathleen Kennedy, and that's your basis for her being a self-insert, which is flimsy as fuck. Like I said, you might as well call Spider-Man or Mr. Fantastic or fucking um um 5 of the 6 original X-Men, including Professor X. You might as well call them self-inserts as well. I mean, for fuck's sake, this argument is so fucking weak, it's ridiculous.
writer or the producer, director, whatever, is that attached to the character, then they're way less likely to listen to criticisms from fans, especially criticisms that make sense. They basically just want to go, here, this one is me. Shut up, take it, buy the action figure, buy the...
Actually, arguments like the one you're making right now makes it harder for fans to make actual, like, if a fan has a genuine complaint, and post it on the internet and it gets traction, it's tough for anybody in the actual, like, movie sphere or media sphere to take it seriously because there's so much bullshit on the internet. Maybe stop clouding the internet with bullshit arguments like this, and then genuine arguments can actually be made. But when you fill up the internet with shits like self-insert, Mary Sue, woke, when you start filling up the internet with that, then yeah, they're not going to be listening to actual to the internet arguments because they're all fucking garbage.
costume for your kids, put a poster up of her, buy a cardboard cutout, shut the...
Like every fucking other Star Wars fucking property. For fuck's sake, George Lucas, the first Star Wars movie, George Lucas gave Fox pretty much the rights to the whole fucking thing, except for the fucking merchandising rights, which is why Star Wars merch became a big deal, because George Lucas held on to that. He made Star Wars merch up his ass and spat it out, made deals with all these companies, got all this merch out there, and made a fortune on that, and bought the rights back. Star Wars merch is pretty much a part of Star Wars history at this point. My God.
Up. What do you mean she's not the best thing since sliced bread? They literally refuse to hear any feedback from the fan base, even when the figures are left rotting on shelves and the sabers don't sell as well, and people are still clamoring for the original trilogy in the theme parks, but all they want to give you is Rey No Name Palpatine Skywalker and her beach ball.
Okay, I haven't been to the theme parks, but are you saying that they don't do original trilogy stuff in the theme park? Because I find that very hard to believe. Very hard to believe. Now, I could see them wanting to focus a bit more on the sequel trilogy simply because that's the one Disney produced. But they didn't do I would be shocked if there's no prequel or original trilogy stuff in the theme park. And just because there's Rey stuff on there, yeah. She's the lead character and there's 3 big Star Wars trilogies, and she's the lead character of one of them. Of course she'll be prominent, as well as Luke and probably Obi-Wan or Anakin, depending on who you consider the lead of the prequels to be.
Of a droid, that's their character, so they're not gonna let go, and they're just gonna buckle down on something that makes no sense. I have another example, which is actually my self-insert into this video. This is the thing that I've been nitpicking about for years, and it's actually what inspired this video. I know you probably think that I was more pissed off about She-Hulk than anything else, but I'm gonna explain to you exactly what kind of person I am. I am still holding a grudge about an animated children's movie that first was released in 2006. I'm gonna talk to you about Cars 3, how Lightning McQueen's entire character arc was single-handedly destroyed by John Lasseter being pushed out of Pixar by younger, more talented people. Maybe more talented is not the word.
Number one, John Lasseter was still part of Pixar long after that movie. And him getting pushed out, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I'm pretty sure he got SA allegations against him. There was something fucked up that he did, and that's what got him fucking pushed out. So that's kind of weird. Now, I will say, if you want to argue somehow like fucking Mater is a self-insert for Larry the Cable Guy, Okay, you know, and hey, at least they're including a male character in the list. Most chuds don't do that. But I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot of people defending Cars 2 because Cars 2 fucking sucks.
For it, but with less allegations. If you're not an adult
Okay, yeah, you just brought up the fucking allegations. That's why he was kicked out. For fuck's sake. That
with an odd attachment to the Cars franchise, this probably won't make much sense.
Yeah, so Cars 1 is totally decent, and I think Cars 3 is probably the best one. I'm not a huge fan of the Cars franchise, but I've seen them all multiple times because my son was addicted to those for a while. I've seen Cars 2 the least, thank God, because I do not like that one at all. But yeah, Cars 1's fine. Cars 3's, I think, is probably the best one. But yeah.
To you without a little bit of context, so let me explain. In 2006, rookie Lightning McQueen ends up in Radiator Springs, goes on this whole journey of friendship. If you know anything about the Cars lore, we basically know that he ends up becoming a 7-time Piston Cup champion, probably inspired by people like Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson from NASCAR. And in Cars 3, a movie made for children who want to watch the cool car say ka-chow and drive around in circles, in Cars 3, he is an aging race car being pushed out of his career by an all-new technologically...
Whoa. Oh my fucking God. Here I gave her too much credit. I thought she was going to talk about Larry the Cable Guy being a self-insert in Cars 2. And no, she's actually going to criticize Cruz Ramirez in fucking Cars 3. God fucking damn it. Ah. Yes. So fun fact. People, as they get older, aren't as capable. They just aren't. Physically, their bodies just aren't 100% there. It doesn't mean that they aren't capable of helping people or providing or being a resource or many things. But just physically, they're just not going to be there. And Cars 3 is a story about one of the fastest race cars ever in history, realizing that he is not going to maintain being one of the fastest race cars in history. He can't compete with these newer models at all. But doesn't mean he can't be helpful. And that's what the story's about. It's about him learning, hey, my place isn't necessarily on the track anymore. My place is behind the lines, helping people on the track. And he finds a useful place. It's about how it's literally a story about how a person, just because they can't be like in the limelight, in the focus, they are still there. They are still useful. They still provide. God damn it.
Advanced, better, faster generation. He has this big crash at the beginning of the movie that was traumatizing to kids everywhere. I wasn't young enough to be traumatized by that movie, and I didn't watch it.
Okay, yeah, so part of that crash is just showing that how you can, even after, like, you hit a big crash, you can still pick yourself up and recover. My God. Do you not think that's a good lesson for kids to learn? That even if something terrible happens to you, you can still pick up and recover? God damn. I never thought I'd be defending Cars 3 so vigorously. I thought she'd go after Cars 2. Cars 2 is shit. Cars 2 is garbage. She goes after Cars 3, which is probably the best one? Fuck.
Until years after it came out, because Cars 2 was that bad. That is exactly what that crash is a metaphor for. The second Cars was basically Larry the Cable Guy as Mater having some really convoluted, terrible spy adventure around the world. It was stupid for adults to follow. Kids weren't really a big fan of it. It is the worst rated Pixar movie on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually the only one to have a pure Rotten score. And so at the beginning of Cars 3, we have this tremendous crash, and then the need...
So a couple lines about Cars 2, which, hey, if you want to rail against that one, I'm right here with you. But like Cars, just spend most of your day going after Cars fucking 3? Jesus.
Need to build Lightning McQueen back up. If that isn't a metaphor...
Yeah, Lucifer, isn't it terrible teaching kids about real life stuff?
For Pixar having to build the Cars franchise back up after the disaster that was Cars 2, I don't know what is. Cars 3 is basically John Lasseter's healing sequel. The entire film is just people making old man jokes at a Lightning McQueen that fails at literally everything he tries.
Oh my God, this is so fucking stupid. No, he doesn't fail at everything he tries. Did you watch the fucking movie? Oh my media literacy is fucking dead, I swear to God.
because he's being single-handedly bested by his trainer with an
Hedgehog Nerd, you're awesome. I disagree with you.
appropriately diverse name, Cruz Ramirez, and I'm pronouncing
Oh, a diverse name. Oh my god.
it in English because if I said one name in Spanish, both names would have to be in Spanish and it just sound annoying, but they just wanted to make sure that it sounded super diverse, whether you called her by her first name or last name. Both of these are Hispanic surnames, none of which sound as cool as Lightning or McQueen. Ka-chow. Anyway.
They are both Spanish surnames. They're fucking cars. As opposed to traditional names like Lightning McQueen. Fucking hell. Tomater? Yeah, very traditional names. Yeah, but Cruz Ramirez is unrealistic.
Anyway, the entire time the industry and Cruz are single-handedly like pushing him out of his own industry, which basically mirrors exactly what John Lasseter was going through at Pixar. Aging leadership, pressure to make way for new talent, and shifts in animation.
Okay, well, I mean, that right there is a case of somebody using their own personal experience to educate a story. Because, yeah, like somebody brought up in chat, this is kind of his pet project. Cars was kind of him playing with cars. That's what it was. There was a certain charm to it. It's not one of my favorite Pixar projects, but there's a certain charm to that. I mean, Laster's a creep. We already went over that as well. But, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with him relating his personal experience on Pixar to the movie, which was probably the best of the trilogy.
And style and also messaging. It makes for an emotional enough story, sure, but it also feels way more like Pixar holding up a mirror to themselves as opposed to a film that was made to round out the trilogy of one of Pixar's most iconic characters ever. So think about—
Really? Okay, I would not put fucking Cars as one of Pixar's grand achievements, but sure.
it this way. Was the story serving the character, or was Lightning McQueen just the vehicle serving the studio? And I mean vehicle.
I agree, Nate. You know, and I don't, like, I think the first one and the third one are good. Like, good enough. Like, but yeah, like, compared to, like, Golden Age Pixar, fucking the Toy Story movies, which, God, those ones pretty much just got better until the fourth one. Like, 1, 2, and 3, fucking gold. I don't know. 2 might be better than 3, but 3 is really good as well. Wall-E, Up. There was a period where fucking Pixar was just on fucking fire. And then the Cars movies would come out and be like, oh, yeah, these ones exist too. Incredibles. Yeah, Incredibles was awesome. Incredibles 2, not so much, but Incredibles was awesome.
I guess both literally and figuratively. And maybe I'm taking it too personally because I do own so many Lightning McQueens that is actually one of my favorite movies of all time, and I did cosplay him, but I'm gonna be salty about Cars 3 for the rest of my life. John Lasseter, why couldn't you just leave him alone?
I don't hate Toy Story 4. I just think it's weaker than the other ones. I think it's fine though.
I'm okay now, I got all the lightning out of my system. So, when we look at these self-inserts, they are so often used to round out content that we get today in the wrong way. And I'm gonna finish with one more example that I feel like
the closest she came to a self-insert was with Cars 3, which would just at best be John Lasseter kind of relating his own story to Lightning McQueen and doing it in a creative way, which writers do. You write what you know, which you already made the example of earlier in the video.
Isn't a problem right now because the movie isn't out yet, but I want you to not attach yourself too closely to the movie itself and just think about the message of what I'm saying. James Gunn's Superman is set to release at the time of this video's recording like a month from now, less than a month from now. And of course, we have Krypto in this movie. And I've already gotten so much flack for my opinions on Krypto. Again, I love dogs. I have a ratty ass dog. He's a Chihuahua that looks like a hyena. I love him so much. But I grew up watching Krypto the Super Dog, and I remember Krypto being this big, like lab type dog. He looked super noble. And then in this movie, they get what looks like some kind of rat terrier. I'm not saying he's not cute. I'm just saying he doesn't exactly look like, you know, a Kryptonian superdog. James
What the fuck does a Kryptonian superdog look like? That is such a weird argument. Like, it's a dog, and it's an adorable dog. Like, what does a superpowered Kryptonian dog need to look like? The fuck? Yeah, Nate pretty much said my thing. The fuck? What?
Gunn, whom I'm honestly still questioning why they gave him the keys to the kingdom with such abhorrent tweets about all kinds of things that I'm not even going to repeat. You can look at those for yourself. He, while in the midst of writing this movie, adopts this misbehaving, formerly abused dog. I think it's great. Adopt, don't shop. He adopts this dog, and the dog is biting his ankles while he's trying to write this movie, to the point that he has to sit on his counter to avoid being attacked by this dog. And so he decides that this is what he's gonna base Superman's dog on.
Yes, write what you know. That doesn't mean that will be bad at all. That just means he was inspired to put a dog in it, and we will see how the dog works in the story, but the dog's adorable.
This is what Krypto the Superdog is based on. And everybody's coming at me, oh yeah, but the dog isn't his, that's why it doesn't behave. That's actually Kara, Supergirl's dog. That's his cousin's dog. That's why he doesn't listen to him. I don't give a shit. You cannot explain choices made by
Lucifer's right. The dog did hold him hostage and made him put him in the script.
A director or writer with lore that they made up. Like, none of this is real. So when you tell me, well, yeah, but he explained it right, but he made the choice and then he made lore to back it up. You see how that works? So then people are like, well, the dog's not even that big a part of the movie, right? I don't know, it kind of looks like it's everywhere. The popcorn buckets for this movie are a dog bowl and the dog. Like, I feel like
that's adorable.
the entire purpose of this dog was for James Gunn to go, look, it reminds me of my dog, also buy the f***ing toy. And so my concern, again, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not writing it off, I'm not saying the dog is gonna destroy the movie, but my concern is the dog a meaningful character? Or is it a quirky pet gag that basically gets shoehorned in for James?
We have to watch the movie to see if it works. Maybe judging an element of the movie before you've seen it is a bad call. You know? Just saying.
James Gunn's own self-indulgence. Is this him writing a dog that's really going to be fun and representative of what Krypto is in the comics and in the cartoons? Or is this just James Gunn going, haha, he's like my dog. See, isn't it great? Superman doesn't need to be and shouldn't be what Zack Snyder wrote him to be, which was brooding on almost Batman type levels. And yeah, okay, Superman has emotions, but I just don't think we should.
I like how she's including an element that I agree with, yes. Zack Snyder did not understand Superman, which was frustrating. I thought Man of Steel was close to being a really good movie, but fuck. He missed so many marks. Like, it's like,
Never go that completely dark, especially not in like a first solo movie and all that. I'm not even gonna get into all that now. But the point is, Superman is about hope and strength and legacy and integrity. I think inserting a terrier that's this chaotic and this scrappy kind of feels like tonal imbalance.
You already brought up how Krypto is a part of the comic books. He is. And if you're introducing a dog to your movie, yeah, it's gonna be a bit like that. Then there's nothing wrong with that. You just gotta see how it's handled. And judging it before, you know, you've seen the movie, really disingenuous.
That James Gunn just put in because he's cute. I could speak as to so many more self-inserts, but I think you get the point. Self-inserts basically flatten.
So her arguments, her self-inserts are She-Hulk. She didn't really provide any specific examples, so we can say that one's safely debunked. Velma, which I didn't cover because I haven't seen Velma. I've only heard bad things about it, and I didn't really care to. And then Rey, which is a really fucking thin argument, considering Kathleen Kennedy isn't really a writer. She might have had some input, but like, no, just because a white woman's the main protagonist of a Star Wars trilogy, which, let's face it, we've already had men leading Star Wars trilogies. Let's have a woman lead one. Absolutely, do that. They are half the population, after all. That just makes logical sense. But just because it's a white woman, it's a self-insert for Kathleen Kennedy because reasons. And then fucking Cars 3, only the best one of the 3 movies. Sure. And that was a decent fucking movie. No matter what you want to say about how it reflects how John Lasseter felt at the time. Decent movie. Well done. Well handled. And then her final example. Her final example. The keystone to lock this argument. It's an example from a movie we haven't even seen and have no context to judge, and it's her just making shit up. I think it's safe to say this is all debunkable, considering her one of her examples is not even remotely provable at this point. For fuck's sake.
More complex characters, and they also take away time and space from characters that could otherwise shine if they weren't being deprioritized by a writer who just really needed the spotlight. When a character is a self
You didn't really bring up any examples of that, though. Like, that's just such a random thing you're bringing up. What the hell?
insert, and it's so intrinsically tied.
Wait, like, if we're like, the closest example I think of what you're talking about would be like Cars 3, but Cars 3, Cruz Ramirez is very much not the main character of that. She's an important character for sure, but Lightning McQueen is still the main character. It's about his growth and his journey. Did you watch the fucking movie? Did you understand that? It's about him. God damn.
To the personal experiences and traits of a writer that we don't know. We as the audience are never going to meet or never going to really understand this person. Then basically we lose out on connecting to this character for the sake of this writer.
Okay, I don't even see much of a point to watch anymore. She's making a conclusion on a case she didn't make. You know, I used to think, like, the last time I went over her, I thought there's maybe a bit more nuance. And I do feel like looking at her videos, there's probably a bit more nuance to her than your average chud. But that video was pure chud. And you probably look over this and be like, okay, what videos here are pure chud videos? Because that was obviously a pure chud video. I think it's safe to say her Ironheart thing is going to be pure chud. I bet you if I actually went through and watched some of these, I bet you I would see a lot more chud stuff. But yeah, God. That was a terrible fucking video. Holy shit. Well, it was nice for her to release a brand new video as I was looking at our channel. Very nice. Pure chud video released right as I was ready to look and see if she does any chud stuff. Well done. Thank you, Snarky Jay. Yes. Her biggest self-insert is her inserting herself into remotely mattering.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.